Okay, welcome to Mike Emery once more, but this time we're going in depth with the Orgone Bubble, which we can't call the Orgone Bubble, but he's going to discuss all of this with Christina Marie. You're live, girls and boys.
Oh. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Christina. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. A bit hot. Right, so welcome to the studio again. This is Basis 78, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching you for a while, and I've been watching you talk about your technology, which is the Organmic accumulator, which is also known as orgonite or organ technology. And also, I've been thinking about asking you lots and lots of questions. So luckily, Miles rang me and said, would I like to come along and clarify a few things, because this will be for dummies like me, really, to really understand how we can make it, what are its uses, how can it benefit us, and you know, what has happened so far with this technology, what experiences you've had and people that you know who have used it.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, I just need to make it clear to myself and others who might be wondering, what is this energy? Is it the same as prana, would you say? The same energy? Chi?
Same.
Great. What about the zero field? Is it the same as that?
No.
Oh.
There is no 0 point. It doesn't exist.
Right then.
That's a misnomer invented by Einstein.
Oh, okay. But it's the same as Wilhelm Reich found, this vital energy.
It's Reich's technology on steroids.
Okay. So you've tweaked it a bit, and you're calling it Organmic.
Yeah, we're calling it Organmic because the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission has been trying to stop people from selling orgone devices on ITSE and a few other places. Now, because they've become aware, well, they know that it's real and it works, and essentially the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission is validating.
Definitely, if they're trying to stop us.
That this is basically the savior of mankind and the savior of the planet.
Wow.
Yeah, this technology it's super simple, it's euphoric, and most importantly, it teaches humans, men, that their imagination works. That their imagination, via their imagination, they can manifest things, cause things to happen. You know, this is a step way beyond the law of attraction. Okay.
Right.
You know, and the reason for that is that it's, like you say, capacitance, you know, and accumulator. To, you know, so the more charge that you can accumulate on these metal bits, the more power that there is to the capacitance field.
Right.
And therefore, the more organic energy that's available for creating euphoria and giving everybody access to the image making in between the gaps in the metal. In there is, it's not the 0 point, it's the gap. It's where God is, quite literally. You know, God herself. You know,
the life force.
Yeah, right. You know, everything's conceived in darkness. You know, that's God, right? So we get the chance to go into darkness and plant our seed ideas in there and watch them blossom.
Okay, so keeping that in mind, so this energy, this vital energy then, that is accumulated in these devices, you have said in your papers, which is on the academia website, it has amazing effects. It can clean the ethers and the anu, which is another program, but also cleans everything in the air, the water, the soil, plants, animals, and even it cleanses us. So when you say cleanses us, are you talking about cleansing toxins within our body, or are you talking about energy, negative, toxic energy, more or less?
Well, it just there's no toxic energy that's imbued with euphoria. Okay?
No.
So, so any kind of negative energy that you have in yourself,
I see, yeah.
will get supplanted by euphoria.
Great. So it just completely resets
Washes
you, and
just,
when you talk about euphoria, we're talking about intense happiness, which everybody would like.
Euphoric. It's like little 5-year-old kids. That's what we need to go back to. Okay.
Yeah.
And you tell the 5-year-old kid that he's going to go on a field trip the following day. He's all excited.
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't care.
Yeah. We look silly doing that though. We hold it back, don't we, a bit? So I suppose when you say the word euphoric, it's a bit much, but it's not really. We all should be feeling intense happiness. And if this can give us that, well, it's worth a go, isn't it? So what else can we benefit? How else can we benefit from it? I mean, you're saying it cleanses things. What about healing? How does it heal?
Well, it heals via intention, okay, or your imagination. And we install intentions into the bubble piece.
So we have to ask it or advise it or command it?
Well, quite literally command, because we are God. This is proving that humans are the creator God of the entire multiverse. And it's very simple. If our imagination, intention, has any effect whatsoever over hurricanes, which we stopped them all, every single one of them.
Right.
Florence got away from us because they had other tricks that we weren't aware of. Okay, but all the rest of them stopped.
Right.
Okay, all right. In the case of healing, there's a guy in Mexico that's a friend of mine. Okay, and the friend is on the Bubble Tech. It's important people go to the Bubble Tech page on Facebook because it has all of the relevant
information
and essays are posted there in the files and you can see people doing absolutely amazing things all over the world. Make it rain in Australia, make it this, that, and the other. But to finish, the guy in Mexico City had stomach cancer, okay? And then he went in, they were going to operate on him. They're all set to operate on him. He went in, it had disappeared. It wasn't there anymore.
Wow.
Which, in the way that happened was, my friend asked for his friends to be healed on the Bubble Tech site.
Right.
Put his name up there and a photo of him, okay? And then there's 900 people on the Bubble Tech site. They sent euphoria to him. And we do that in a prescribed way. And the prescribed way is, I am, God, I am. I am sending euphoric healing to so-and-so. Now.
So that's all people that have made them.
Now, so be it. Okay? Right. That's what you say. Then the other thing that you do, is that we do breathing. We do a breathing. This is a Qigong manifestation mudra. And then the breathing, fire breath, which builds up our qi. Right. Okay? It builds up our qi hugely. It causes us to make the body to make steroids. Oh. When you do this qi, which would help you a great deal. And so you do the breathing, 30 or 40 times, then you breathe all the air out, and then hold your breath. And while you're holding your breath, then you say, I am sending euphoric healing to so-and-so now, so be it. And then you see a bubble around that person, you feel the bubble around that person, and then you dance with the person in the bubble. You grab a hold of them, and you start dancing with them until you get into a spin. And the spin's very important, a really tight, fast spin, because you're dancing with their spirit. And spin remembers things. DNA remembers things. Spin energy. All spin energy organizes information. Nice. And spin energy is also the carrier for emotions. And an emotion of some kind is required for manifestation of images. Now, we have a large number of capacitance fields here. Ding-a-ding-ding-ding-ding, okay? Going through here. That represents image-only realms that are 2D, that are parallel, okay, like this. And you get 7 of them. This is the root vibe of 7. It's one of the most important findings in my work, is the absolute root vibe of 7 is that it takes 7 image-only realms to make one physical realm.
Okay.
You know, because this matter is not real. You know, it's just solidified consciousness. Everything is consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it's solidified is with the phase angle of the, you know, being at right angles. So in 3D, where we're at, where all of this is, you have a right angle phase angle between electric and magnetic components. Okay?
Yeah. I believe you.
Well, you have electricity going one way, and you always have magnetism going off at a right angle to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the right-hand rule of electricity. You know, if the flow of electricity is this direction, where your thumb, your right hand, then the magnetic field goes around it in that way. So basically, you still have a right angle there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's it. You know, that's as a result of the right angle between the electric and magnetic components in 3D. Where we're working in here in the image-only realms, the electric and magnetic components are parallel,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and the gap in between is all potential, okay,
Mm.
you know, and that gap, when you put your imagination, your images, your intention into that gap, it's there, you know, it's not anywhere else, it's right there, and then the way capacitance works and analog amplifiers work, you know, is that intention gets amplified, okay?
Okay.
As it goes from one to the next to the next to the next, and it gets amplified, and then it gets broadcast.
Right.
Okay, now, when we make a device this size, when we make it tomorrow, all right, it will go for at least 500 miles. The effect of it will reach easily 500 miles. And eventually it'll probably go infinite, because there's no in the capacitance field in the four-sided ethers, there's no impediment. You know, there's nothing to stop it. Okay.
Right.
You know, whereas in the hexagonal, six-sided ethers, where all this is made, that stops it. You know,
Right.
you know, it's a stopper. Okay, to a certain extent. Whereas you do have the four-sided ethers inside there. Nothing stops them. It goes right through walls, goes right through everything. The one thing that will cut off the organic energy is DNA and structure. You know, the thing about darkness, being conceived in darkness, is that it's chaotic darkness. And the minute you get into structure, you're getting into 3D,
Mm-hmm.
and out of the four-sided ethers, out of the parallel ethers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where that's where your power is where all of our power is.
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so we absolutely, without any shadow of a doubt, are able to install our intentions in this little device sitting right here and stop hurricanes anywhere on the planet. Okay? And we've done it. It's not a maybe. Okay? You can look it up. There has not been one single hurricane make landfall as a hurricane since last May. Okay? They all convert to a tropical storm and go to, well, they say category 1, but there's no hurricane. Right? And normally what happens is we get a hurricane has horizontal wind shear that makes it, okay? Mm-hmm. And the ethers come in and cleave it right in half, okay? And cause vertical wind shear, which stops them dead. No more hurricane. No.
So did you do that as a collective then? You all set that intention and used that breathing technique and all decided that you would try to stop this hurricane in the same way that you did the healing?
We do it collectively now.
Right.
When we first started, there was only 3 of us that stopped a whole bunch of hurricanes, just the 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
These things are very, very
So you
powerful.
don't need many people, but you all need to have a device. And I was just going to say to you, it confused me a bit because we've got the Cloud Buster, we talk about bubble tech, accumulators, but it's all the same thing. It's a device that has the same materials in it, but obviously
Same type of material, right.
You can do different
make it a little bit
sizes.
differently, some of them, but it all works. I mean, this is made out of resin, and it's a toxic material, but the orgone, and especially when you light it up, changes it. Yeah. But I'm sorry, there's one point I really wanted to make,
Yeah.
and this is important for mankind, is that since, absolutely, we are able to make our imagination cause things to happen in the real world, then
Yeah.
it was our imagination that made the real world in the first place,
Yes.
which is true. And where that goes on is in the subconscious of all humans. We have the equivalent of 10,000 feature-length movies all playing in our subconscious at the same time. That's the amount of data that our subconscious processes. And so if you look at space and everything in space, it being just consciousness and images, okay, then you have God herself, which is space. She can make images, but she chose not to. Okay, she's just along for the ride.
Okay.
Yeah. And the image makers are us. And the Anu that we talked about
Yes.
is your aura.
Yes.
And it has a tight spin of energy going through the middle. It looks like DNA that stores the information that makes us.
Okay.
Everything has that. This has an Anu around it with the DNA that stores the information that makes the glass, and then every water molecule has an Anu around it. You can actually see it on the water molecules. All water molecules have, that's a Dr. Gerald Pollack, you can look it up, have what he calls an EZ zone, an exclusion zone. Okay, that exclusion zone is an organic field, and that's why water is so important in it. And actually, there's a doctor named Batman who's
Oh yes, I read that book. The body's many cries for water.
yeah, right.
That was fabulous,
Yeah,
but wasn't
who's
it?
Iranian. He
I
learned this in
drank a lot of
prison.
water after that.
Yeah, he learned that
Yeah.
you take the right amount of water in the right way, you cure any disease.
With some salt.
Yeah,
bit of
well, yeah,
salt.
with salt, with salt, in order for the body's cells to take up the water, to be able to hold the
Yes.
water.
Yeah,
Salt's very important. Our
Yeah.
doctors that tell us not to take salt,
crazy.
they need to be taken out and shot.
Because we have saline solution running through our.
Yeah,
Waters,
right.
don't we? We all say
salt. Well, the Roman soldiers, they paid them in salt, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought of that. Right, let's get back
That's
to.
where the saying said, "Come that not worth his salt."
We are the salt of the earth.
Yeah,
How about
right.
that?
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to the benefits. So we've found that we can heal with it. It can negate dirty electricity. 5G, Wi-Fi effects, all those
yeah.
negative effects that we're being bombarded with, microwaves, gamma rays, whatever.
We stopped the EMF production of something like a 2 million watt or volt high tension line. More than one.
Wow.
No EMF is normally it goes essentially infinite when it comes
Yeah.
off there. But in the organic field, no. It has a field right around the wire, okay? But that's it. Our lady in Mexico, Monica, which you go on the Bubble Tech site, you'll see, she made a bubble piece out of just white cement and 2 copper pipes, nothing else.
Really?
Not one other thing in there, okay?
Oh.
And now hers is not nearly as powerful as what we can make, okay? But she asked for it to eliminate the EMF in her house. It did that. And then she had to ask for the bubble to enhance the Wi-Fi and cell phone signals, otherwise they wouldn't.
Defeats the object. Yeah.
Just like you experienced a little bit earlier.
I did. I couldn't use my phone.
Yeah,
could
right.
I? At all.
Yeah.
And I didn't
And-
think to ask it to help me to enhance the good bits.
And that's just
Yeah.
we did that
Yeah.
by touching this thing. It was plugged in at the time. And we touched it to this, and your phone stopped.
It stopped, yeah.
Stopped getting. And so if we'd asked it to let your cell phone signal through, it'd have done that.
Right.
So that's what Monica did.
Yeah.
She's got a very good EMF meter. There's no EMF anywhere in the house except within about 2 feet of her router, okay,
Right.
the Wi-Fi router, and about 2 inches of the wall outlets, the plugs,
Yeah.
and other than that, there's no EMF in the house, period.
Well, that's
and she's gotten
fantastic.
rid of the mosquitoes. Oh, this is another huge.
That's another thing. Pest
Yeah.
control. So there's so many uses for it, isn't there? Really, there's. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say now.
I'll tell you.
Go on.
We have had absolutely mind-boggling results with really heavy-duty bubble in the desert in California, and Bubba that runs that system that he set up there, which is quite powerful. Well, Bill Teising wouldn't set it up for it. Bill Teising's a discoverer. We should have him on. We had him on yesterday.
Last night,
and
he's had lots of good results, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a great thing to show us.
Yeah.
But Bubba's setup, well, he had been doing orgone for years, and he had orgone pits, he had orgone pieces all over his property, all over the valley, all over everywhere. So that when he fired the bubble up, it just repeated through all of them. Okay.
Right.
You know, and it completely altered everywhere in that valley. You know, and he has all summer in LA kept the temperature 30 degrees below what they forecast. They forecast 120, doesn't get to 90.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it
every day, all summer long.
Controls temperature. So you've had. I mean, I went on the internet and I looked up making orgone devices, and there's lots and lots of YouTube videos where people show you how to make them. They sell them to you. But talking to you today, you've bought devices, but you've made a lot of devices yourself, and you did say that the ones you made yourself were the most powerful, or you had the best results. Do you think that is because obviously it's your own, and also you're putting the intention into it? Does that make a lot of difference that it's your, because if somebody made this for Miles, this pyramid, they obviously must have put some good intentions. They wanted Miles to benefit from it. But would you say it's more powerful if we do make them ourselves?
Oh yeah, of course. You know, if you have your own personal device that's going to be around with you, and you take a piece of your fingernail or a piece of your hair, a tiny, tiny piece, and you put in there, then that piece is forever connected to you.
So, it's connected to you. But what else would it do if it's got a piece of your hair in it? Did you say something about DNA?
It would impose, whether you want to or not, euphoria on every cell in your body.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Well, it make you more spiritual. It makes you more psychic, because the other thing that happens automatically in the bubble, you know, especially if you get 2 or more people that do their intentions, you know, around the bubble, they become telepathic, very, very telepathic.
So it is a good idea to do it in groups, to get your friends to make them too, to experiment like that. Okay, so let's get on to...
yeah, the main thing is to not only make the device, but to do your intentions, you
together.
know, preferably on a regular basis. If you do it every day, everybody that does that, you know, say you get 3 to 5 people, you know, that are doing their intentions around the bubble every day, all of those people will become way, way more spiritual in a couple of weeks. You know, very, very quickly.
Well, that just makes sense, because there's always more power, more people, isn't there?
You will see all chemical transmutation of elements going on all the time. Okay, because it goes on all the time anyway in all living things. But this enhances it.
Like plants growing. Plants grow faster, don't they?
You will see crops. You know, we already have a crop that produced 5-fold what it normally does. You know, I have to hold the plants up with string, and it didn't half the time. So, 10-fold increase in crop production, 10-fold. The other thing I didn't get to finish about Bubba in the desert was that the euphoria of the bubble has not only run off all of the pests, no flies, no mosquitoes, okay? The rodents are all sacrificing themselves.
What?
Now the Bubba had a way of getting rid of them for a long time, and he'd put plaster out there mixed with oatmeal or something that they'd eat, and they eat the plaster, it's toxic to them, and they die. So these rodents started showing up at nighttime. He'd just take a bag of plaster, put it out there, not even open it up. They'd break into it, eat the plaster directly, and die. And the ravens and the owls and the hawks are getting fat off all these rodents. But it is quite literally nature signaling the end of duality. So euphoria supplants fear and love as a root manifestation
Yeah, I can
emotion,
get that
you have to have the emotion to make things manifest. And in so doing, it cancels out all the negative stuff. No flies, no mosquitoes. You got butterflies, hummingbirds. There's like 4 flocks of 60 to 100 hummingbirds in each flock hanging around the bubble. Okay?
Right.
There are around 1,000 quail. They're all over everywhere all the time. Now there's a bobcat that's coming. Okay? And he doesn't do anything. He doesn't chase the quail, doesn't do anything. He just hangs out there, and that's what all animals do. And the simple fact that the animals come there because they know it's healing for them, and that's why they come.
Oh, right. But it attracts the animals that you'd like to see, not the pests.
Yeah.
How about bees? What about bees?
Yeah, it enhances bees. Yeah, bees.
Yeah.
Bees, butterflies, ladybugs, like what we have today. All that stuff shows
It just
up.
seems like there's an endless amount of benefits in having these devices. So you've tried a few then, and you've tweaked your recipe apparently.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at your printout, the academia website, showing really what goes into these devices. But I think really it's more simplified now. So do you want to just talk us through what you'd like to?
How you go about making one?
Yeah,
okay.
I'd like to go about making one. I'm not sure whether we can do it now here, but we've got the ingredients on the table anyway. If you talk us through each one so that the viewers can see.
Okay, well, now, something the size of this pot would be called a cloudbuster.
Yeah.
And even the one I got is 3 times that size, and it's got 6 pipes coming up out of it, just very short.
Yeah, I saw
But,
that.
you don't need that. You only need 1 pipe anymore, we found out. Okay? We're learning as we go along with this. Right? But one thing is quite simple. The way that you increase the power of the capacitance field is by increasing the surface area of the conductive material, which is like copper,
Yes.
iron dust. We use a lot of iron
More
dust.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way that you increase the surface area is by having the smallest possible particles.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I get that.
Right. And amazingly, cement,
Yeah,
cement, when it sets up as a chemical reaction, and you actually create calcium silicate. Well, calcium is conductive, and silicate is a semiconductor. This is silicon here. It's the silicon dioxide. Crystals are silicon dioxide, but it doesn't matter. Same thing. So that's why Monica's just plain cement is an orgone device. It's not as powerful as it could be, but it absolutely works. And so, even though we're going to lay all this out on how to make this, if somebody has very little money and they want to make a super simple device, you get Portland cement.
So in this, how much of it would you use in this bowl then?
You fill it up.
Pot? Fill it right up with this
Yeah,
cement?
fill it up flush to the top.
Okay, and you wouldn't add anything to it? What would you add to it? Just
Okay,
dry?
well, this one, because we have the material here to do this with, what we'll do with this one, this is the diatomaceous earth that you bought. Diatomaceous earth is an organic material all on its own, and the reason is because it's diatoms, freshwater or saltwater diatoms, that collected in a lagoon somewhere, and then they got rained on by a volcanic ash fall. Well, the volcanic ash has got the white powder gold in it.
Yeah.
The white powder gold is present in all living things. The white powder gold is a superconductor. The energy that flows in a superconductor is nonpolar, which means that the electric and magnetic components are parallel to one another. Okay. The white powder gold, when you have a perfectly pure sample of it, you can't measure it spectrographically. In the spectrographic analysis, they have the Raman shift of every compound and element known to man. Okay? And they can even do spectrographic analysis of a star and tell you what's in the star, down to the parts per billion. Okay?
Wow.
Except they can't pick up the white powder gold because it's too deep. You know? And they even say that. There's a guy named David Hudson that spent millions trying to figure out what this stuff was, which he ultimately did. They offered him to patent the material, which he didn't do. He started, but he gave up on it. And the white powder of gold is present in all living things. Calves and pigs' brains, by dry matter weight that we know of, is 5% the white powder of gold by dry matter weight.
Wow.
The Earth's magma that we know for sure, I've got a gold mine in Nevada that's full of this stuff, the white powder gold. 10% of the ore body is this white powder gold. So the Earth is a living being. It has white powder gold, which is superconducting. What flows in the superconductor is light, okay? Photons, not as photons, not as a waveform, okay? And in the BCS theory of superconductance, a guy named Cooper said, the electrons will flow onto a superconductor before they will go to ground, okay? And when they flow onto the superconductor, they convert back to light, which is where they came from. It's one of the very, very first subatomic observations ever made was that a photon will spontaneously split into an electron and a positron. The positron degrades. Okay, so everything's made from light, right? So they goes back to light, and so they call it Cooper pairing. Electrons run in pairs. In 2D, everything runs in pairs. And in 3D, everything runs in sevens. And then so I mean, this is just really simple stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so what Cooper said is that, one electron spin flips and combines with the other one, and they make a photon. And that's not true. What actually happens is that the electron, when the electron was made from a piece of light, the positron, or the anti-electron particle, supposedly decayed, but it's always mirroring the electron. And so when the electron wants to go back to home, it needs to attract its positron in to become a photon again, and go back. That. I'm sorry, I'm explaining very advanced physics, but I'm a physicist. That's why I'm doing this.
Yes, exactly.
I know these things. For years. Been boring.
So we need a lot of this, and we need maybe only a tiny bit of this. Then means it's so powerful.
Yeah. And what we'll do is we'll use this diatomaceous earth, and we'll put a little layer of it in the very bottom of this.
Before we put that on top.
Yeah, before we put the mortar on, because the thing about the mortar is that we don't even have to. Actually, we don't have to. We can leave it dry, and then just put a cap on top. Okay, we'll do that. But what we'll do here, this is a diatomaceous earth. And then this is a piece of shungite, okay? This is two pieces of shungite here. And then this is a quartz crystal. And you get the quartz crystal touching the shungite, okay? And the quartz crystal activates the shungite. The shungite is a multifaceted crystal that creates C60, carbon-60, Buckminster fullerene in water. And C60 stops human aging.
That's helpful.
So you have a piece of your hair in there with this.
Oh, okay. Would you put it on top of that?
You put it right there.
Does it matter where you put it in the mixture? Would you put it on top of the diatomaceous earth, then that on top of that?
You put it right here with
bottom,
this, because you want all of this to like meld together and work together. And then what we'll do is this is a piece of amethyst. We'll break this, and take just a little tiny piece and put it right touching this also.
Okay.
And what the amethyst does, as well as the amethyst is a quartz crystal also, silicon dioxide. And there's some other stuff called citrine that's yellow. And what they do is they clean these other crystals, especially the shungite. They clean them so they work very well together. So that synergistically, the amethyst or citrine, a clear quartz crystal, and a piece of shungite all works very well together. And these little tiny quartz crystals work better than big ones. You can feel, you put it in your left hand. You want to feel how a crystal works? You put it in your left hand, you feel it. And it's very, very powerful, these little buggers. And the reason is because they're very natural, and they're manifest in the Earth's rocks. And if they grow a lot, which they do, then you have lines of stress, layers of stress from them forcing the rocks away as the crystal grows. Whereas these guys they have very, very little of that, and they pick up power and transmit it. And the reason we put quartz in there is to provide flow. Now, the capacitance field, what you see there and what here is basically the same thing, only this is way, way smaller, okay, can get stagnant. Okay, and when it gets stagnant, that's deadly orgone radiation what comes out of there.
Oh.
Yeah, and so you need, and so that's why you put crystals in there, is to have flow so that doesn't happen.
Okay.
And so we also take the opportunity, this crystal in here, in there, will be picking up the energy, the white powder gold, of the diatomaceous earth, for putting it into the shungite. The shungite will be broadcasting it, and the citrine will be cleaning it out, so they continue doing it. So both of them keep doing it. Okay, and then you put a piece of hair there, and we have this magnetite. Okay, Miles got the big magnet too close to the magnetite. This magnet will pick up, I don't know, 400 pounds. And the magnetite is already magnetic, so it just slammed up against it, and the only way that we're going to get these two apart is to take the magnetite out of the bag and put it in something else, for a while, until we can release it from the magnet. And the magnet, stresses the crystals and adds charge. Because you have magnetism, you also have electricity.
Yeah.
So you got big magnetism, especially if you got movement. But so they're what we know. You take and put these magnets on this piece of orgone, and it creates euphoria. You felt it a little bit. It's easy for me to feel. Yeah, and you can use smaller magnets too, like this. These two magnets came out of hard drives. And they're very, very good magnets, okay? And then you see, it sticks right to it, okay? And so when it does that, then you know it's going to work. Yeah.
So how many of these crystals would you need, these ones too?
Just those two, it's all you need in the whole pot. Okay, we'll probably put more than that, but that's all you actually need.
Yeah. Could you put anything else? I mean, I bought this online when I first saw your program on it, and this one has got turquoise in it, and which promotes clear thinking, which I really do need. I don't know if it's working or not, but could be worse. So you could put anything in. You could put turquoise.
You're a very clear thinking person.
Oh, thank you.
For being blind, that's great.
And other things. And also, we've got some copper. We did talk about that before, because somebody said that they've been putting geometric shaped metal, making shapes that represent certain intentions. But you said that's not really necessary.
Well, that detracts.
It does.
Yeah.
So more simple is best, isn't it?
Simple,
not messing about too much.
And the best shape is a dome, which that's basically a dome like that. Okay. The problem with pyramids and whatever else you want to put, the problem with them is that they focus the energy. It's well known, and where they focus the energy is right there. That's why they put the little quartz crystal on top. They think they're doing us some good. Excuse me, I'm over here. I don't spend all of my time hanging out over.
I get what you mean. So a circle. We're talking a dome.
Yeah, this the energy that'll come out of that thing will broadcast. Well, for 500 miles easily, probably over 1,000. There's maybe 30 Orgone bubbles operating in England now.
Oh.
Have you noticed the beautiful sunny days that we've been having?
Summer. Is that you, Mark?
Yeah. That's not me, but all of us doing it, you know. And that'll continue all the way through October, because that's what we asked for. 2 months,
Great.
September and October.
Well, let's do December.
And it's getting
November.
warmer, you know. And just like today, it was very, very warm.
It's lovely
You know,
today.
so you warm up the earth, everybody's happy. You know, and it
Okay, what
rocks
else?
them.
So you don't have to put too many materials in, but these are the basic ones. Any sort of crystals, you can look at online at the crystals, what they mean, what qualities they have, how they can enhance.
And when you put this together, you take one of these magnets and put it right there by it, by this. That's big time, you know, because the magnets, the magnetic energy stresses the crystals and causes them to create piezoelectric energy, which is the flow, you know, that you want, and it gets magnified. It gets amplified and magnified as it goes from capacitance field to capacitance field up through the material. You know, there's one after another, isn't there? You know, capacitance field.
Yes.
Which is why the way we make orgone is quite a bit more powerful than the way Reich did it. You know, because he just made parallel sheets of metal.
Yeah.
You know, with good wood in it. He did it very expensive the way he did it. Okay.
Yeah.
But it very definitely worked, and he had those boxes. You know, he did completely
Miles
enclosed.
has got one.
Yeah.
Miles has got one, hasn't he? A Reich machine.
Oh, it's a Reich
Reich
machine.
machine, yeah.
Well, it's a Reich.
the same?
It's not Reich, no.
But that's got
Reich's,
the capacitors.
Reich's Wilhelm Reich's
Yes.
boxes had this material, you know, 5 layers
Yeah.
of wood on the outside, 4 layers of copper plate in the middle, and then that was all inside of a box, and people would go in those boxes. Okay, and the blood would rush to the skin. They'd be pulsating, you know, and whatever they had, cancer, whatever, that would go away. Okay, you know, heart problems, all kinds of stuff he was healing. There's not a lot of testimonials about what he was able to do, but we, with this kind of this, only made much better than this. This is, pieces are too big and so on and so forth. Like this. A guy that we know made 4 of these cloudbuster size pieces, put them out in a field, and it did the same thing that Orgone's, the Wilhelm Reich's box did. You know, you out there, you're out in the middle of the field, and the blood's rushing to your skin, you're pulsating, and you're healing. Yeah.
So he just stood in the middle of the 4.
The way he did it, he set up a triangle, and then he had 4 pieces that size, a little bigger, and he set up a triangle and one in the middle, you know, and there in the middle, the temperature went down by 5 degrees Celsius, you know, yeah, it's like, whoa, wow, you know, right in the middle of the field, you know, but of course Bubba's been taking it 30 degrees below, which is normal, because the capacitance field eats vibrations. There's no vibrations in a capacitance field. There's no cycles per second. So there's no seconds. So that means that you have neither no time or all time is right there in there, or all potential. Just okay. And so there's no vibrations there. But what happens is that any vibration that comes in, it actually amplifies the orgone field, or the capacitance field, because that vibration creates charge accumulation on the metal bits, on the conductive bits. It activates. It's like the photoelectric effect. The vibrations hit the metal, and it causes electrons to move on the surface of the metal.
Yeah.
Okay, and that increases, and you get enough of that.
Yeah.
You got heavy duty static charge accumulation on the metal bits, which increases the power of the field.
Okay. So far we've got the cement, the diatomaceous earth, the stones, the quartz. You've also got some oil.
Oh yeah. Well, you can do that. This is frankincense, which is absolutely wonderful. You smelled it earlier. We can take frankincense, all right, and we've got that's in the bottom of the pot. What we will do is we'll take 1 or 2 drops of frankincense, If it'll come out.
Yeah.
Did it come out?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's it. That then is forever, that essence is forever locked in there and will be broadcast. You can smell it.
Mm-hmm. I can smell it now.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't smell it in there, could you? Would you seal
well, no,
the top?
you'll smell it. You'll smell it in the environment.
Really?
Yeah, because it broadcasts.
Okay.
They
Interesting.
have some that broadcast jasmine.
Lovely.
And you smell jasmine everywhere.
So that's all in the pot. Do you need to seal the top with anything? How will you do that?
Yeah, well, if it's going to be outside, it needs to be impervious.
Mm-hmm. What will you do with that then?
Well, we got that mortar mix, which is pretty close to impervious. That's a plumber's mortar mix. It's very, very fine. But you don't want water, I mean, obviously water will short out the capacitance. It's a conductor, and so it gets in between the metal bits and shorts them out.
Okay.
So we put anything, paint, resin, varnish, beeswax, tar. You put tar on cement, it is permanently impervious.
So
you never get it out.
How thick would that layer be?
What, the impervious layer?
Yeah.
It's just like paint, just a thin layer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just pour it over.
Paint it on, yeah.
Well, I don't know, I can't imagine.
You do the same thing with resin.
Something.
You paint it, you get a paintbrush, you paint it on. So it's thicker than paint.
I'm going to have to make one because I can't see how it's working at the moment. How that goes on at the top. Is it me?
Paint. You ever done any painting?
Yeah, but you said we were putting that in dry. So it's be powdery.
Yeah, we probably will. If we get we're waiting. We ordered iron oxide and iron dust from Amazon. They're not here yet, and so we'll mix them with this cement, and because the cement, the calcium is conductive, right, and then it's silicate, calcium silicate. The silicate obviously is way bigger than the calcium, right? And so we're looking for 50-50 metal bits to insulating material.
Oh, so that's why I was thinking it's just going to be powdery. When you've mixed it with your metal bits,
yeah,
then you'll be able to paint on the resin or whatever you're going to put on the top.
Oh yeah,
easily.
Well, once we've mixed it with the metal bits, we put all that in there.
Yeah,
it's
just
all done, and then we'll make it. We'll put a cap. We'll put a cap of this stuff. We'll put water.
We will.
And mix it up, and put a cap on there, and then on top of the cap you make it impervious with paint or resin or whatever, if you need to.
Okay.
We'll also put one pipe in here, one copper pipe, which is very useful because.
Mike, we've got a question from the board. How long should the pipes be?
Just short, just sticking up like maybe maximum 4 inches out of the material. They can go all the way down close to the bottom, which is great, because as I was going to explain here, we can take these violet ray ones and remove the wand itself, and this, where that connects up, inside there is a transformer, and it produces 33,333 cycles per second, which is 33, which is basically the manifestation number. That does mind-boggling things with 33. We put 33 hertz into water, and we you can do that with any kind of frequency signal generator that you can get on the internet for nothing. Okay,
they're really
cheap, and broadcast 33 at the water and whatever we're using to make this, and it locks in there. But so we've got the pipe in there, and one of the things that we can do, instead of having this always touching it, okay, we can take this out, and we can take a copper wire, and you bush up, and you bush it up, you put it down in there so it makes contact like this does, okay, and then you tape it in there so it doesn't fall out, and then the other end of it, you tape around the copper pipe, you bear it and you tape it around the copper pipe, and turn it on, and it basically runs should run forever. Although this particular brand of transformers, doesn't seem to work like the other ones do. This one may have died. We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's a question. There's a question from Rich Harrison and Andy Campbell. So what's the concept? And also, Rich Harrison's asking for what about negative effects?
There aren't any negative effects except DOR. But when you're bubbling the piece, you can't have any DOR. You can't have any deadly orgone radiation of any kind anywhere within 500 miles. It's a little bit ridiculous. But it's especially noticeable right around close to where the device is operating. But we know, we've doused innumerable times, that the effect goes for infinite, most of them. Some of them just 500 miles, others of them, 3,500 miles day one. Not only day one, hour one. The very first hour, the very first moment when we finish this, it's cooking. It's going right straight away, even without touching it to anything. It's going. When you start touching it with a violet ray wand or a magnet, and the infrared heat lamp, heat. Well, in the infrared heat lamp, the infrared energy itself is healing, and as you know, you have these infrared saunas. And so you take the infrared and you combine it with the violet ray. There's a synergistic effect within the organic material that broadcasts euphoria big time. And heat is well known to increase the amount of charge accumulation that any metal can have. And so that's why we do it. It's really simple. And that Bill Teising, that was the very first thing he did. He started out using a hairdryer.
It works still.
And he felt and he noticed that did something. And then he had a 20,000 watt amplifier, and he hooked that up to a piece that's similar to this one, better built than that one. And it was with that 20,000 watts and this pyramid that he stopped Hurricane Irma. Brought it right to an abrupt halt. He was supposed to hit the west coast of Florida, never showed up. It wiped out the Florida Keys, which are still wiped out. They look like the bomb went off there. Okay, almost all the Florida Keys are wiped out from Hurricane Irma, and they didn't go any further than that. It stopped right there. Yeah.
So on the table, all that's missing at the moment.
There's a comment by Irene Carlos. Can you read that off the screen?
Can you read it?
Can you make an intention, for example, to be free of negative emotions in the country or state you live?
Yeah. Good. The only way that you can manifest anything using the bubble is in euphoria. Add euphoria to anything, and it's euphoric. It's not neither positive nor negative. That's like we were saying earlier about the rodents sacrificing themselves, and the flies and the mosquitoes sacrificing themselves and leaving the area. That's the end of duality. That's ultimately, we get enough of these all over the planet, duality comes to an end and we go into dream time.
Oh. So Michelle's asking, can we use shungite powder?
Oh yeah, shungite powder or crystal powder is better than even these little ones. These little ones are very good, but crushed quartz or crushed shungite is excellent. But you don't need very much of it. You need very little of it. Just a little tiny bit, like about that much. That much. That's all you need. And these are about as small as we can get. And so we need something of a little size to demonstrate. It's better to use the powdered shungite and powdered crystals.
Andy Campbell has a question, if you could read that.
Yeah, Andy says, electrical appliances produce toxic electromagnetic fields. These fields can layer one upon the other, creating a harmful level of radiation. So what does this pot do? So I suppose he's asking you, what does the technology in there do to these EMFs?
It eats it. It like I explained earlier, even with radiation from Fukushima, we get we get some bubble, if we were to go to Fukushima with bubbles, okay, it would be inert. We could have it as a botanical garden in about a week. 2 weeks, definitely in 2 weeks.
I'd love to see
Gone. No more radiation at Fukushima itself.
So it
eats radiation, and the radiation or the EMF actually increases the power of the euphoric organic field, because it increases the charge accumulation on the metal bits. And I mean, radiation, radiation. The way that radiation is described is at ionizing radiation that causes ionization. All right. Well, we want ionization. We want those ions right here. The negative or positive doesn't make a difference what they are. When it goes in there, they're not neither negative or positive. They get converted to euphoric.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
We like euphoric.
Well, I would hope so.
So the other thing, so the last thing was, I was trying to just say that everybody must notice the metal's missing, but we did order some, but it hasn't arrived. But metal bits, you said 50-50 with our mortar mix. Does it matter what type of metal? You've said here that machine shop swarf is very good. Iron dust, like you say, dust is
well,
good.
the best kind of metal is dust.
Okay. Where do we get that from? You can order that on Amazon, can you?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. Swarf is like aluminum shavings, steel shavings from machine shops that they take a piece of metal and they shave it down or grind it down, to the piece that they're trying to make, and the bits that they grind out of there are this what's called swarf, SWARF.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's almost free. In some parts of the world it's free. You go to a machine shop, they have trouble getting rid of it.
Well, I did go into where they cut keys, because I was thinking of making a little one,
really, that'd
which
be
I didn't
good,
get round to. But the guy did save me a little bag of the key. Would that be good enough? The key
That's
shavings.
excellent.
Oh, so that's easy. There's a key
And
shop
it's
in
free.
most towns, and it was free. And he said, "Oh, I'll collect it for you if you want me to." I mean, I didn't even tell him what it was for, but he did look at me a bit oddly. Weird woman.
We'll be carrying this on tomorrow. We'll take this magnetized pyramid and put it under your bed, if we can put it under the bed, and we'll see how you feel in the morning.
I'll be flying.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else do we need to discuss. There's so much to discuss, all the good things that you've heard about it. I mean, if you want to carry on telling of any experiences that you've got, because it's fascinating, isn't it?
Oh, just go on the Bubble to Facebook, Bubble Tech page, and I haven't been on there in a couple of days. I've been down here. It's every day. There's new amazing things happening. That people are reporting.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So that's
more questions.
That's pretty much how to make it. Tomorrow we'll actually make it and we'll video the process. And then we'll do the intention installation video also, which is, when you breathe out and you hold your breath. That's the Wim Hof technique. And that technique, Wim Hof doesn't know it. I do. I was a monk and I'm a physicist. I know all this stuff. It's really ridiculous. But anyway, it causes the body to make steroids.
Right.
And in so doing, you cure asthma. Okay? As well as lots of other stuff. And in your case, it'll help a great deal. And so we do the breathing. It's good for the body. We're increasing our own chi, and then we're telepathically communicating with your bubble genie. All these bubbles like this one. There's an energy that you can actually take a picture of that's normally purple in color. That is a being, a living being. And it's our bubble genie. And that bubble genie will tell you its name. And so, me being, go back to square one. Okay, excuse me, bubble genie, where do you come from? And the answer that I got is that it comes from our heart.
Wow.
Yeah.
So anybody could experience a bubble genie?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Anybody with a heart, yeah.
So obviously having the right intention when you ask it. So once we've made that, just say after we've sealed it, everything's switched on. If we've got one of these and we're charging it with this 333 frequency to amplify the healing effect, then we sit down and then we telepathically command it to do whatever we want.
Correct.
Do we
Ask
need
for
to
abundance,
yeah.
ask for healing, ask for whatever you want.
Yeah, and do we need to keep on doing that, or once we've done that, can we leave it with it then and that's it, or do we need to keep recharging?
The way that you leave it, you know, is you install the intention, and when you install the intention, you know, like, shh, breathe, hold your breath.
The breathing.
Telepathically, you're going, I am sending euphoric healing to so and so now, so be it. You visualize them in a bubble. You dance with them in the bubble. You get the spin going.
Yeah.
The spin remembers the thing, and then there'll come a point when you're doing that where your vision will stop because it's been accepted. Okay. And then right after that, what comes is a euphoric mirror back, and it'll come so much euphoria it'll lock you in your chair. You know, you're locked in the chair going, like heavy duty meditation, really deep meditation. Only you're not meditating. You're awake. You know, and you're just sitting there, just blasted by this energy, you know, really, really blasted. Then you know you've installed the intention. Then you say to your bubble genie, make that a program and run it every day, or run it continuously, or run it once a week, or whatever you want. You tell it, that happens.
Okay. So then you can put it away and forget it and let it do its
That's
thing.
right. Well, you got to keep the flow going in a little bit. You know, you got to do intentions around it.
Okay.
Twice a week, preferably.
So when will you notice the effects? Immediately after that?
In some cases, instantaneously. Yeah, when controlling the weather, it's immediate. You know, innumerable times, and we'll probably see this happen tomorrow when we finish making this one. If there's any clouds, they'll go away.
Okay.
Yeah. Straight overhead. And then after a while, after it builds up, you know, because they do build up. You know, they get stronger and stronger and stronger. You know, like we have done, like all the bubble people have done, is that we have cleared the skies over the entire UK and Ireland. Okay.
We need to clear them.
We did that last spring. Ireland was clear.
No rain in Ireland, are you sure?
That's right. No rain, clear, sunny skies. They didn't know what they didn't know what was going on.
Wow.
Yeah? They, you know, because that's not Ireland, is it?
No. I've been there a few times and it's always raining.
Yeah, you're a little bit Irish.
See if there's any more questions.
Are there any more questions, Miles?
Let's see.
I don't think so.
No. Sorry, I just thought I'd check.
What?
Because I didn't want to miss
Just
anyone
looking. They've been
that
trying to
could
get
be
the
waiting to
the
talk.
window to open up for you, but it won't open.
Oh.
So
So, can you just recap again on how many of these devices we would need to effect a global change?
50,000. We've doused it several times, and it's 45 to 50,000. Now it also depends on the power of the bubbles. And we've got one bubble. We got a guy named Mikhail Ledwith who was one of the presenters in the three movies, the three Down the Rabbit Hole or What the Bleep movies, and he's built a concave mirror like the Russians use to see your past, present, and future, and then he's got a bubble piece in there that's bigger than this one. He's got magnets on either side of it that can pull 800 pounds. You know, very, very powerful. He went in there and with the you know, and he was heating his bubble piece, and this blew up. You know, and the reason it blew up is because it's this is a 3D operation. It's in 2D. You know, in 2D this ain't gonna work. Yeah. Now, I would think that eventually the magnets would get wiped out in there too, but we'll see. That hasn't happened yet.
What was his intention with that then? What did he want to do with that powerful device? Do you know?
Intention is quite obvious. You acquire your past, present, and future
I see.
in the concave mirrors, whether you want to or not.
Oh.
You go into...
These are Kirchhoff's mirrors.
Excuse me?
These are the Kirchhoff's mirrors. Kirchhoff.
Yeah, right. And
You've got to be careful with those. You do not try this at home.
I don't think I'd like to do that.
well, they're a little bit strange. They're not going to hurt anything, but it can get very strange in there.
They can disappear your soul if you stay in there all the time.
I
They'll
don't know
wrap
about that. The Russians have been doing this for decades. They spend hours. They sleep in these things. You know? And Nostradamus, that's how he got his visions, was in a egg-shaped concave mirror that was highly polished with silver on the inside. And so...
I think the ones that do the damage are fully enclosed.
So anyway, that's what Nostradamus, it didn't kill him, and he spent hours and days after days in there, getting the information that he could. So anyway.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to a close on this. Any last questions? Do please put them on the chat.
Well, let me finish with what the purpose of the concave mirror is. Is that you will acquire your past, present, future.
Yes.
It will be imbued with euphoria, which should change it.
Yes.
Okay, because
Okay.
it's like past life regression.
Yes.
On steroids. It's quite literally.
Yeah.
And so you impose euphoria onto all of your past conditions. You should see, we haven't done this yet, but you should see a change in the physical appearance of the person.
From a euphoric point of view rather than misery, suffering and pain of past lives. Do you think that imprints on us? So if we have lived many lives and we've incarnated in this body, would that affect the way we look, do you think?
Yeah, of course. Well, we have this cage that's in front of us that we peer through. And the cage is our anu, or aura. But the thing about the anu that is the size of us, which is about here, about this far, that's, where the anu extends to.
Yeah, goes
in
right
general,
out, doesn't it?
It can extend infinite, like spiritual beings like Sai Baba, you can't find the edge of his aura. Yeah.
Wow.
But I have a problem with Sai Baba. He doesn't teach telepathy, whereas we do. We impose telepathy. But the thing about the anu that's the size of us, that's the size that we need to make our bodies, is that the DNA part of it that goes right to where the kundalini rises, it has the ability to store 48 minutes of a sequence of events. Okay?
Yeah.
So, your past, present, futures are here now, as is obvious because you can acquire it in the concave mirror. Okay? So, that past, present, future is composed of anus for each 48 minutes of your entire life, past, present, future. And all those anus are with you now, and that's a cage that you're looking through.
Wow.
Okay?
Does
It's
it
also
affect
your
us?
karma.
The chat room now is it was an obsidian mirror, says Michelle.
Yeah, probably. We'd try it. We could try it.
Obsidian.
The American Indians use steel ponds or lakes. And you sit there and look in the pond for long enough, you'll start seeing, your past, present, future. Or you take two flat mirrors, you get in between it, you spend enough time in there, you're going to start seeing things in the future.
What's the difference? What's the difference between the obsidian mirror and the other mirror?
The
obsidian mirror. It's on the chat.
I don't know about the obsidian mirror. If it's a mirror, more than likely it's going to work. If it reflects an image, it's highly likely to work. The reason, if you want to know why the concave mirrors pick up our past, present, future, is simple. It's all due to one rule, God's law, which is I am that I am, or like attracts like, or mirroring, which is what we have here. We have a holographic universe, it's a giant hall of mirrors. All right, now, our past, present, future exists to begin with as flat 2D images.
Okay.
Okay? And you get 7 of them to make one physical realm. 7 parallel 2D realms to make one physical realm. And those flat 2D images are acquired, the information is acquired by our DNA. And so, the DNA has crosslinks in it.
Mm-hmm.
These crosslinks form a diffusion pattern. Now, a holographic diffusion pattern is really quite amazing. You take a flat transparency, and like this is flat. Okay, so we're going to turn this into a diffusion pattern. Over here we have a laser, and we split the laser, and one beam of the laser is the reference laser, and it lays just barely touching the transparency, okay? The other beam of the laser will paint the subject, whatever the subject. Like if the laser was painting you,
Mm-hmm.
then it would impose the 3D image of you, like you are right now, onto this transparency,
Yeah.
okay? And this transparency is unique in that you can cut it into 1,000 pieces, and you can look at it in a microscope, you can see the image in any one of them. And if the transparency pieces are big enough to get a laser through, it will create the entire 3D holographic projection, which is the diffusion pattern causes the organized rays of the laser to go out and intersect in space in such a way that they create the three-dimensional light object of the subject, including the colors. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right? And so that's how the diffusion pattern, the normal holographic diffusion pattern works.
Yeah.
The DNA is a little bit different in that it takes the flat image and converts it to round 2D. And the way that you know that it does that is because it projects it on the inside of these concave mirrors.
So you can see yourself.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah. And then there's another aspect to it, the anu. There's a concave mirror on the inside of the Shiva part, or the outer spin. Okay? And so the DNA is projecting onto that, projecting the image onto that, and then that is being reflected out in the same way that this works, into the larger universe. And so in that way, our DNA is quite literally creating our environment. Okay?
Yeah.
According to what we are expecting, to have happen, and the continuous replays. We've had
Oh, yeah.
23 different species of humans that have populated this planet. Mars was populated; they blew it up. We found huge human evidence on Titan, the planet-sized moon circulating Jupiter. There, we found a Italian researcher named Matteo. You can look him up on Facebook, and also in Before It's News. He's got a lot of his videos on. He's got hundreds of videos where he's discovered edifices on Mars, Titan, Jupiter, and Mercury. Excuse me, Mercury is the first rock from the sun. It's a little warm there now. Okay, which means that the idiots that were there making buildings were first of all talking to one another. Okay. Otherwise, they wouldn't be needing buildings. If you're telepathic, you don't need those kind of things. And so this has been replete through the solar system for billions of years that us humans talk to one another, which allows for lies, which allows for crime and politics, which kind of go together, and then war, and then a nuclear war, and then everybody dies. And so on this planet that we know, there's 5 Holocene events, they call them, extinction events. And they have genetically tested the DNA of 100,000 different animals before the extinction event and after the extinction event. Because what happens is that 90% of the DNA on the planet leaves. It's no longer here. 10% left over. There's a few ferns and cockroaches. and then a little while later, not quite a long while really, because it take maybe even 1 million years for all the radiation to go away, because normally the way we wipe ourselves out is with nuclear holocaust. So a while later, whatever it is, all the DNA comes back. All DNA, the 90% of the DNA it left, it all comes back. So everything blinks in and blinks out. Even on the massive scale of time and these huge do loops from extinction event to extinction event, there's no evolution. Yeah, because the DNA before the extinction event and the DNA after is exactly the same. Digital mirror images. Well, excuse me, it's a holographic universe we live in. It's all mirror images. You know? And now we're breaking out, and what's also mirroring off there is fear and love, which is the nature of our, it's dualism, okay? Whereas euphoria cancels that, and we will cancel this continually repeat. It will change the entire planet. It will change the entirety of creation, because we are. I asked the people in the bubble group to make sure to send euphoria to darkness, because in darkness is loneliness, and that's well known. Sai Baba says that. There's lots of, I've experienced people that are deep meditators. You go there, you experience it. You go to the void, and you feel lonely, which is not surprising.
Because it's a void.
And that loneliness is the root of fear, and separation energy. And we eventually, with this pot and these bits, will get rid of it. If enough of us make these, we get 50,000 of them, that's it. Love and fear canceled, we got euphoria, everybody's happy. Don't need to know nothing.
So we've never had the opportunity to use this technology before in all the other incarnations and civilizations.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Which is mind-boggling.
I know.
Because it's so simple. And nobody's done it. Okay, excuse me. Why haven't you done it? Okay, and why is it here now?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next, actually, Mike.
Yeah. And the answer is it's predetermined. And when the time when we created these ideas to be made manifest here was before the last extinction event. Because right now we're still in 3D. Okay? And the way that is that everything has got defined edges. Okay?
Explain that in closing, because it's when you mean by 3D, yet we're obviously in 3D.
3D, yeah, everything what we see is in 3D in the hexagonal ethers, okay? And whereas where the intentions that we install are in 2D, and they're fuzzy. They're always fuzzy, like a Monet painting, okay? And Bill is available for us now. He could show us.
But that's a new program. And also, please please explain the Facebook group, Bubble Tech.
Yeah, Bubble Tech. The Bubble Tech Facebook page is where to find all this stuff.
And before Christina Marie melts away, any final comments?
Well, my head's going to explode, and I'm hoping that this device under my bed tonight stops that from happening.
It will eventually, and you should feel it tonight.
Yeah, I hope so.
Right. If you stay in the bed, you should feel it.
Okay. Well, before we
don't start floating above it.
Before we get blown away by the hurricane force wind hitting the microphone, any last comments for anybody wishes to contact you or anything else, Mike?
Just on Bubble Tech. You just go to the Bubble Tech page. It's all there. All of the writings, my essays that are also in academia.
Yeah,
but
I printed these off academia. They're all on there.
Yeah.
Really
They're also in the Bubble
access.
Tech site.
Yeah. If you haven't got Facebook, you can go to academia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you don't have Facebook, well, they wouldn't be watching this because it's on Facebook
That's
at the
true.
moment,
Yeah.
but it'll be on YouTube shortly.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll cut for now. We'll hopefully have a Skype with Bill later. Thank you, Mike.
Welcome.
Thank you, our guest interviewer,
Thank you.
Christina Marie. And thank you for watching at home. And we'll call that a day for now.
Thank you, Miles.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Blessings.